let me know when you're about to be good.
Yeah, we're good. We can go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to Ryan Fish. Ryan is an active member of Accountability and Hopeful Fridays. You've seen him at our sessions. He's a good friend of mine, and he has a lot of knowledge on the recruiting and talent acquisition side. So he has a lot of information that he wants to share because he cares and loves you all. So, but without further ado, I want to do a small introduction of Ryan, and then Jimmy, we're going to record the entire session for him. So, Ryan, if you don't mind doing a small introduction of yourself, go into answering the one question that we ask all our guest speakers, and then you can go into the slide presentation that you wanted to present to the group.
Great, thank you. Again, very nice to be able to speak to the group. I appreciate everyone that has connected with me so far. My background, I've got 3 decades of working within HR. Most of that time I've been within recruiting, but I have done everything from training and design to strategic planning, building of teams. I've been involved with benefits, payroll, and the list goes on and on. Most recently, of course, I've been working within technologies as a recruiter, and I really enjoy that space. And I'm searching myself for an opportunity. I live in Minnesota. I'm looking to be able to uh, continue to live where I'm at, but willing to travel as part of my work. So remote
Hello?
hybrid roles, but very willing to travel anywhere in the world. And that's kind of me in a
Hello?
nutshell. With that, I'm going to try to share my screen if that's okay. All right. So if everybody can confirm that's coming through or that you can see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, great. So my topic, of course, is trying to put your best self first. I have a lot of content, so I'm going to be going through fairly quickly. Happy to answer some questions, and at the end, my intent is to attach this in our teams so people can actually get into more detail and get to a lot of the links. So don't worry about taking too many feverish notes, as you'll be able to get to the presentation afterwards. One of the big things that I have found in a lot of my contact and talking to people is just kind of that nervousness or lack of confidence because of the unknown. And there's a few ways to try to take a look at that. So I'm going to talk through that here. Um, First and foremost, and you're going to see this in my presentation at least 3, 4 times, is making sure you're using eye contact. Um, People tend to be more engaged and want to be able to understand you and want to work with you more when you are talking and working directly with them. As part of engaging your audience, it's also a matter of giving a full story. And we're going to talk about this STAR method of being able to answer questions here in just a few minutes on one of my future slides here. Encourage questions and provide thoughtful responses. Don't try to just answer to be quick, but try to listen, actively listen to what they're saying, maybe even restate back to them what they're asking to make sure you understand and provide a direct answer to them. And then, a lot of times in different types of presentations you might give, you might do live polls, whether it's, asking questions in a online presentation like this, or it may be something much less formal, just simply asking, did you like this? Did you not? And kind of tracking some of that information or what's missing. Power of communication, like my picture, is something a little interesting there. Um, I love this quote. Before anything else, preparation is the key to success. And that really can be very true. Alexander Graham Bell is so well known, not just for the telephone, but actually creating a wide variety of different things related to helping people communicate better. A big part of his success was his preparation. Other notable quotes related and supporting that whole idea have Abraham Lincoln talking about give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. For every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned, by Benjamin Franklin. And by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. All are great quotes that really talk about the importance of taking your time and doing it right. So, questions that others ask you is usually one of the first things in a lot of networking events that a lot of people are asking, well, what should I prepare for? How do I prepare? And here were just a couple ones I found. I'm not going to click into them based on the amount of time we have here, but I do welcome you when you get the copy of this to go in, click in, take a look at that, as these can be very helpful to try to prepare. And we'll talk a little bit more about using the job description itself as well here in just a little bit. The STAR method for answering questions. Most of you, and even in this picture diagram, it shows STAR with one R. You talk about the situation. I was working for IBM. The task, my job was a computer programmer. My action, I was working on a project related to developing a data lake. And the result, we were able to complete this within 6 months and it was effective. The second R that I add is a redo. And in this case, if you had to go back and redo it, what would you change? Most employers are asking what they call behavioral based questions, at least in part, for what you're going through in those interviews. And they want to be able to get an idea of what you've done in the past, to get an idea of what you may do in the future. And they're not always 100%. And what you've done in the past may not be what you do in the future, which is why that second R can be real key. This helps you control that dialogue. Okay? And always, again, I said this before, have good eye contact and smile. I had somebody earlier today even ask me, what's more important? Being able to be, high energy and really friendly and, watching, people directly in their eyes, or by having really good answers to the questions. And I said, honestly, there's a lot of companies out there that have some phenomenally skilled people, but they can't interact with each other. And the companies are really looking for people who can do both. So a lot of times a smile and good eye contact can overcome maybe some gaps in some skills. And a lot of companies might say, you know what, maybe we can train that. Keep that in mind. So always be ready to also ask them questions. You'd be shocked at the statistics around how many people lose a job opportunity because when they get to the end and after they've asked you all these questions, when they ask what questions you have, you go, no, you already answered them all. Be ready. Have some creative questions, some things that maybe they didn't answer that you can ask them. And I gave some good examples here about, what their priorities are, were there any hesitations they had and how they feel about how you fit the role after talking to you. What do you like most about working for the company? You can ask a lot of things about culture. or how they like to work with their teams as well. So if nothing else, those are some really good pieces. But I also put some other resources in here for you to be able to follow up and maybe find some additional ones as well. So your ability to communicate effectively will leave a lasting impact on your audience. Effectively communicating not only involves delivering the message, but also resonating those experiences, those values, and emotions with the person you're interacting with. Don't make it, about them doing the job for you or finding the job. Help me, get me a job. Yeah. They know you're looking for work. People in general want to make it a win-win. They want to help you, but come forward with, if nothing else, maybe who else should I talk to? Is a really good next step or a good frame of reference. I like this little cartoon, so I thought I'd throw it in. Remember, kindergarten is an excellent place to make contacts for first grade. It sounds kind of silly, but it's kind of true, throughout life. We've been doing this networking long before we ever called it networking. And when you look at this, it should be just like any other thing. You want to build that relationship. In a lot of these networking calls that I've been a part of, they talk about being able to come up with that elevator pitch and being able to come up with, a simple 3-word way to describe yourself. And I'll tell you what, all of you are sitting back going, oh my gosh, I've got this huge 3-4 page resume or more. How do I do it in 3 words? Well, I gave you an example of mine. I identify myself as a leader. Doing this for 30 years, not entry level. I'm more of a leader in what I do. I like to lead and be in a management or director level type roles. Leader is a first and big one for me. Curious has served me well throughout my entire career. How I'm successful, how I document things, how I find out more about how to be successful is because I'm curious and flexible. I don't go in with this is the only answer. I go in with the idea of, okay, we'll start here and hopefully we'll end up somewhere that works for everybody. You have to figure out what those keywords for you would be, but that will really help you in coming up with that elevator pitch. So when you're looking at, public speaking, and this doesn't necessarily mean doing what I'm doing, but just getting in front of, whether it's one-on-one or a small team that might be interviewing you, varying your pitch, tone inflection, and volume control can be key. As you're hearing, I'm excited. I'm presenting. I'm probably a little louder. There's a lot of people out there that do the same. And there's a lot of people out there that actually get very, very quiet, very hard to hear. People are constantly asking them for them to speak up. When some people get really nervous, they get very robotic. They start talking like this. And it's not on purpose. It's just kind of a natural mechanism for them. So being able to be conscious of that and vary that a little bit can really have a huge impact on how you're perceived. And funny enough, it may also help them know that you're still interested. By varying that pitch and that, volume and other things that way, sometimes these people that are interviewing you might be getting the wrong impression. Instead of you being nervous, they might be just saying that they're just not really interested in the job. So keep that in mind and practice. Some people practice with friends, other people practice sometimes with themselves in a mirror. There's lots of different ways you can make that happen. And I know we're getting low on time, so I'm going to try to hurry here a little bit. I see Danny shifting. So some networking reminders. Try to stay calm. Do the research in advance so you feel comfortable with what you're covering and what you're looking to be able to answer for them. You can take that job description and every single line write out those STAR method examples from your history, your experience. So if they ask the questions about that, you'll be ready. Again, rehearse your responses. Consider, not only what you're asking for, but how you can help them, how you can give back. That can be huge uh, towards getting to where you want to get. Uh, Other reminders in here is, again, don't expect that person to find you a job. Look at things as we're trying to connect from a networking standpoint. Excuse me. Um, Work those, descriptor words we talked about into your 30-second elevator speech. Again, I said it once or twice already. Maintain eye contact and smile. And again, try to look at how you can follow up. Take some notes, make sure you're following up. When everything's said and done, um, I know I came up with some different ways that I thought could be very helpful. This is how I am trying to give back a little bit. I think there's a lot of different, especially now, AI is the big thing a lot of people are looking at, and there are tons of new tools that are out there. In fact, on the right hand side of the screen is a link to a tools list I keep track of. I help manage this site. I actually go out and update things. And this week I updated a whole list around AI tools and learning about them. Uh, in doing that, you can also do those endorsement parties, which, Danny, thank you for bringing that up. Helping people to go in and connect with people on LinkedIn, and then take the time to go back out and say, hey, these people, are really good at this, this, and this. Um, and make sure you're not only doing online networking, but in person is still very important. Doing both is huge. Again, this group has been really good about expanding beyond the online to, in many markets, getting together in person at least once a month. Um, be curious, always be learning. No one, and I mean no one, knows everything about anything. There's always room for growth. There's always room to learn something new. And that's why, it takes a diverse world. It takes a diverse workforce because everybody has a different point of view. Review, offer negotiation techniques. That's something, if nothing else, I could help do a training on in the future. I've been to a few of those things. I got some great resources on that. Set goals, follow through, and above all, document. Questions? Did I do okay on time?
Very well.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Well, do we have any questions for Ryan? Thank you so much, Ryan, for the information that you shared in regards to effective communication. So, do we have any questions? Uh, if so, please raise your hand or drop it in the chat.
Well, people are putting something in that way. I'm just going to share since we have a little bit of time. Um, I love a quote. One of my favorite quotes ever is, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Think about how true that is for you. That is a quote by Maya Angelou, and I put some great details in here just to say what an amazing person in general. And she had a very hard life. She had a lot of challenges, and despite that, she rose above and was able to march for civil rights with Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She became the first black female streetcar conductor in San Francisco. She wrote 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays. She was a memoirist, a poet, a singer, and I didn't put it in there, but also a dancer. She was a calypso dancer. and so much more. And if you didn't hear anything else, you got to think about how her words challenge people to find their own voice, to speak out and be heard. And what an amazing, bright light this woman was.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that valuable information. Uh, you go on.
I just wanted to throw out there, I try to put this in all my presentations
Oh,
I
okay,
can,
sure.
but just if you or anybody you know is experiencing significant depression and you need someone to talk with, we do have just like 911 for emergencies. There's a 988 number you can call from any phone in the US. You can call. It's a suicide and crisis lifeline. It is free, it is confidential, and it's 24/7. And if you don't have the ability for whatever reason to call, you can also text 741-741. Um, and people are trained experts there to be able to help you out. And if you ever want to connect with me, again, you can use my little QR code to just scan that
The woman
quick.
who left you will start thinking of you again if you do this.
Or, it's kind of a blurry card. It was hard to blow up that much. I also put in my contact info here for you. Um, but yeah, thank you. Sorry.
It's about doing something that flips the switch in her mind. If you've been
Not a
working
problem. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for that valuable information. And I think